what our
Cool.
thoughts could be related to that.
Well, then, yeah, we can just kind of have a discussion, and if we end up finishing early, then there's no problem with that. So, Gina, the
Sounds
floor is
good.
yours.
Oh, well. Hey,
Me.
Josh, you have to ask me some questions. Lead in with something.
As president of RiverSHARED, what do you see? Like, what if you could have anything you wanted for RiverSHARED? What would that look like, kind of in a perfect world?
Oh, wow. That's a very, very big question.
Yeah.
Let me back up. There's a lot to be covered there, Josh. Let me back up. And I first met David back in 2012. Gosh, 12 years, David. And back then, RiverSHARED was a dream for him and for a friend of ours, James Vincent, mutual friend. And it was just starting, they were just starting to talk about it. So this is a dream that's been growing over the last 12 years and has matured into a board, into an organization with a website and a LinkedIn site and a Facebook site. And while I was very peripheral to all the early stuff, I got to hear some of those early thoughts on what they wanted it to be at that time. And at that time, and David, correct me if I'm wrong, the idea was to share ideas about best management practices when it came to stream restoration, because there was a elitist, if you will, and in some cases a proprietary hold on some of the techniques and how well they worked. And David and James truly believe that that should be just general knowledge, common knowledge that anyone should have access to.
Mm-hmm.
Did I characterize that correctly, David?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So, and since then, like I said, it's grown into a true organization with all these electronic connections, social media connections, the whole 9 yards, and with a board. And this position, I've only been in it about a week and a half, 2 weeks, maybe at the most. So haven't really had a chance to sink my teeth in yet.
Sure.
But the original thought process of RiverSHARED is still there, and I would say is still one of the main driving forces for it. But we've also expanded our mission into not only advancing the best management practices, but also funding sources, regulatory solutions, and as it says in our website, the workforce for restoring the environment. But the culture of sharing is still there. And we've even expanded on that culture of sharing with the thought that we want to begin working with communities that in the past have just been passed over. They've gotten no help whatsoever with their environmental problems. And in this case, obviously, with flooding and erosion and those sorts of things. And because of that, there's been a total disconnect with the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so we hope through RiverSHARED that by healing the environment, we can also heal the communities and reconnect the communities to their environment and make that a good relationship between the two, so that they are inspired to continue to take care of the environment on their own and
like Davis talked
watch
about,
over it.
that relationship, when healthy, can act as like a an improvement on the morale of those communities, that was ones that kind of felt maybe disenfranchised or forgotten or left behind. Yeah, like that there's a opportunity to for them, when they can reconnect with those natural resources that are around them, get a lot of joy out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we also, I lost you guys. We also are looking at the next generations too. So RiverSHARED has an opportunity to reach out to younger communities and of all ages. When I say younger communities, it can be from college all the way down to elementary and preschool kids. but to begin to educate them about their environment and what is going on as far as the restoration work is concerned and why it's important. And those, while they're big concepts and big ideas, can definitely be explained at various levels to various ages. And so that's one of the things we hope to do also. A third prong to all of that is, and something that we're beginning to explore, is getting involved with companies that are interested in giving people a chance to have a second chance. Zoom or my mouse or something, they're all going crazy here. But to give people a second chance, just like last week we talked about people coming out of the prison system and giving them work that's meaningful and gives them a sense of accomplishment, satisfaction, something they can do and they can call their own.
Yeah, I think there's a great
So-
amount of opportunity for that there.
There really, really is. So
Gina,
my
I don't
husband,
know.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Josh. No, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, I was gonna pivot a little bit. I've never had the chance to meet you. I was just wanted to maybe ask if you could give me a little bit of story about your background, kind of how you came to meet Dave and become president of RiverSHARED.
Well, so I grew up in Southern Indiana
Mhm.
and I went to Purdue University. And between my bachelor's, my master's, I worked for an environmental consulting firm called 3D Environmental, where we did habitat mitigation for endangered species. We also did surveys for endangered species, bald eagles, Carner blue butterflies, all sorts of bat work. When my husband and I met at Oklahoma State, we had both been vaccinated against rabies. So, hey, baby, I've got rabies. I'm vaccinated. How about you? That was kind of a pickup line in the wildlife department.
That's great.
But anyway, went back to University of Arkansas to get my master's, worked on red-cockaded woodpeckers there, and then went on to Oklahoma State to do work towards the doctorate, where I was working with the genetics of masked bobwhites and parasite loads of small populations of bobwhites, northern bobwhites. So from there, I started working for the Conservation Commission, Oklahoma Conservation Commission, and worked in the Water Quality Division, became the coordinator for the Conservation Reserve Enhancement Program for the state of Oklahoma. Did that for several years. When the ERA funds became available in 2011 and 2012 through the federal government, we had severe erosional problems in the Illinois River in eastern Oklahoma. And so we hired Dave along with Greg Jennings and North State Environmental to work on several projects for us. And so for about a year and a half, really got to know these guys. And then the work was done. We moved on. And in 2016, I got riffed by the state of Oklahoma with their budget cuts. They decided to eliminate the program. They decided that, they'd been going at it for 10 years and we had enrolled just about all the farmers that were interested in the program. I did have a crew of 4 and 5 people working for me. So that program was shut down. And within a few months, David called me up and said, "Hey, would you like to do some part-time work with 5 Smooth Stones?" I said, "I'd love that." So I've been working part-time for David since 2016.
That's great.
And have been on the board with RiverSHARED about 1.5 to 2 years now.
Yep.
So
Okay. And you said you just recently moved to Massachusetts, right? What part?
I did. We are in, I guess it's considered Western Massachusetts. We are in Ware. So we are just to the east of Springfield.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah, my husband is originally from Massachusetts. We're both biologists. Obviously my emphasis in school and with my work has been restoration ecology and endangered species biology. And then my husband works for U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and it was his job that we moved for.
Great. That's wonderful. So Dave always has been, or every time I've talked to him about RiverSHARED lately, he's had this idea in his mind of kind of RiverSHARED being the the guidance counselor of the ecological restoration world, where he kind of, you're not necessarily, he doesn't want the RiverShare to be kind of this like training hub, but he wants it to be, again, like if you're in this industry in whatever stage and you need something, like whether it's, direction or like resources or whatever, that you can come to RiverShare and you'll find help. Is that, you kind of share that same vision?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In some of our meetings, we've talked about getting smaller companies involved, women-led companies involved. Paul and I both have been intimately involved in Women in Stream Restoration, which we just started as an organization at the last national meeting, which very positive and very good response from the women in the field.
That's
but we
great.
found several women that headed up construction companies for river restoration that, I can definitely see RiverShare partnering with and maybe helping them with some innovative ideas, techniques, whatever they need. But certainly, we certainly see ourselves as partners more than we do, taking the lead on a restoration project.
Right. Absolutely. That's great. What do you think is like the first step in that direction? I mean, I know Dave has been working really hard on like kind of getting this database of like training opportunities pulled together. You think that's kind of our first and, I guess, most current goal as an organization?
I would say, since that is the initial
Right.
idea behind RiverShare, that would be our first priority. But we have so many other wonderful ideas and priorities coming up from behind that go with that. And
Like
so they
what?
all kind of mesh together. For instance, some of the things that David's been involved with, fly links, for instance, where we're doing some restoration work and connecting people to the environment using the concept of kind of a golf type thing, only with fishing.
Right.
So these are things that we can give advice on, we can partner with. We have expertise like crazy on our board. We have, biologists, obviously, we have engineers, we have people that specialize in vegetation work, we have people that specialize in fish work. And so we definitely have a knowledge base that runs very, very deep.
That's wonderful. Eric, do you have a question?
Yeah, Gina, just as a follow-up, good morning, by the way.
Good morning.
You had mentioned the construction companies that were run by women. Are any of them in Maryland or close by?
Dave, can you answer that?
You're muted, Dave.
Yeah,
Oh.
there's I think the one
Did you hear the
wasn't-
question?
Yeah, I think the one company was in Maryland. I'd have to look at kind of the details of it, but yeah, I think there is
Yeah.
one or two that are nearby or in Maryland. Why is that?
Very, very close.
There's two reasons for that. One, so I work with Baltimore County's CTE programs as kind of a side gig that I do with as part of my K5 program. And so they're always looking for internship and placement opportunities for the women in the construction CTE programs. And so those of you that don't speak educational acronym, CTE is Career Technical Education, what we used to call Tech Ed.
Okay.
So that's one thing. But currently, I'm working on a project right now for grade 3 students that revolves completely around stream restoration and understanding, the different types of projects and how they impact streams. And one of the things we're looking to do in the grade 3 curriculum is actually highlight what you would say are marginalized people in the environmental industry, just to center that so that students can see themselves in those roles. So, women working in a construction company is something that is atypical of what people conceive of as in the industry. And so featuring, a woman who runs, in a track hoe or something like that, I think would be very appealing and be a great part to that curriculum experience for students.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I can tell you, first of all, Eric, email me with your questions and contact information.
Sure.
And I will work with the gals and Wiser, and we will try to get you some connections
Great.
to some of those ladies. And I can tell you, I'm a mother of 2 daughters too,
As am
both
I.
of which,
I
my
survived 2
eldest one,
teenage daughters. I can do anything.
exactly. I know that feeling so well. Our eldest daughter is an outdoor recreation guide in Utah, and our youngest daughter will be graduating from Columbia in biology. Same thing, same interests that her mother had in college. But the thing that was very empowering for them, and this isn't to tell your girls to get involved with Girl Scouts, is that when they came back from 2 weeks at Girl Scout camp, the girls had a totally different attitude. And you're absolutely right. When they are immersed with other women that are doing things that they never imagined maybe that they could possibly do, it's very empowering to them. And I think it opens up a ton of opportunities. David, on one of our projects in Colorado, David gave me and some of the other ladies that work with Five Smooth Stones the opportunity to learn how to run, a track hoe and all these other things. And it was so great. We got videos of each other, just so we would remember that moment. And, so, and that's great when your daughters are dating young men and you can say, hey, I know how to run heavy equipment and I know other people that do too. So be careful.
Yeah.
But
we know how to bury the bodies. That's right.
Exactly. But anyway, if you will email me, and my email for Five Smooth Stones is my first name
I think I
my
see it in
last
the list.
name.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
email that to me, and I'm going to be in New York probably the rest of the week. I may not have an opportunity to do it this week, but I will get something to you by next week, I promise.
That's great. Yeah. And we have very similar parenting styles. Both my girls were in Scouts, and they came along with my wife and I as we did all of our outdoor outings as well.
Yep.
And so I have, one is doing industrial water chemistry for a firm in
That's great.
Ohio, and the other one's an architect. So she hangs off buildings and hits blocks with hammers. So she was very happy the other day. She just sent me a picture of her first steel-toed boots. So she was like,
oh, that's great.
Yeah. So yeah. Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, you will find, Eric, the best thing to keep you stable is to try not to think about all the dangerous situations your daughters are in, because you spend your entire life trying to protect them. And then they'll send you a picture of hanging off a cliff face or, a mountainous terrain. They're going down with a split board and you just go, no, I don't want to see this.
Yeah, my oldest daughter, the chemical testing she does, she hangs around chloroform quite a bit. So so I'm like, okay, well, your kids can, bury the bodies and mine can knock them out. So there you go.
There you go. I may be calling you. But Josh, something else I wanted to follow up with, we talk about these. Oh, you're very welcome. We talk about these underprivileged communities, and one of the things that I've always been interested in, and that kind of ties into all this, is on a global scale, as professor at a little college in Oklahoma, I taught a class called Environmental Problems. And one of the things that I taught about was microeconomics and giving people in underprivileged situations. At the time, it was a thought, developing countries, that sort of thing, the opportunity for a microloan or, some knowledge or something to give them the opportunity to help themselves.
Right.
And, by doing these program with prison populations or with underserved communities, That's exactly what we're doing here. So many people and so many groups just need that hand up, that leg up to get themselves started. And once they do, it's totally amazing
Right.
what they come out. Once they believe, once they know they can do it and then have confidence they can do it, it's amazing what can be accomplished from there on out.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing right now, we work a lot with NCORD in North Carolina, the North Carolina Office of Resiliency, and there's a lot, as I'm sure you all know, a lot of, federal and state dollars that are being pushed down to these, like you're talking about, these disenfranchised communities, these, communities that have been literally left behind. And we're seeing the same thing. We kind of come in and you give them the resources that they need to make their infrastructure and their communities more resilient to climate change and sea level rise and that sort of thing. It really does. It makes a change in their attitudes and in their outlooks on life, and that's a really rewarding part of that type of work that we're doing right now.
I think there are a lot more programs. If you look throughout the US, there are a lot more programs that give those opportunities. My husband and I have started binge watching. It's a cooking show where they do the shopping and they cook on the show and everything. I can't even remember the name of it off the top of my head. But anyway, they had a contestant on the other night that he was actually had been imprisoned. And when he came out, he realized his love of cooking.
Mhm.
And so he was giving other ex-prisoners the opportunity to come into the kitchen and learn how to be chefs. And so, it's not just our field that does this. There are a lot of fields. I think the problem is that they're few and far between.
Yeah.
And one of the nice things about RiverSHARED is that we're not looking in one state or two states. We're actually looking across the country. And, we realize that it's such a small world when it comes to connections. And so it's really just making those connections where we can be most effective and where we can help people carry out these visions and give them the support that we can provide that they can use.
That's so encouraging to hear that. I'm really honored to be a part of RiverSHARED, even if just a smallest part, a smallest part. And I'm really looking forward to kind of what the future has for this organization.
Well, there are no small parts in RiverSHARED. I will tell you that right now. Everybody's just as important. And for me, it's a team approach.
Yeah.
We're all in this together. And while I may have a title, that doesn't mean anything. To me, this is a team. We're working together and we're working towards a common goal. So I'll just get loud and throw out ideas and try to herd the cats, as it will.
Well, Dave, that seems like a really great place to stop unless you've got anything else you'd like to say.
No, I don't have anything else to say this morning. We have a lot of really cool opportunities. Some of the things that we have opportunities to be working with, especially with disadvantaged communities. When we talk to people about what we're doing, they're like, well, has that been done before? And the answer is usually no.
Mhm.
So a lot of things that we have an opportunity to kind of come alongside of people is to help encourage them to do something that otherwise we would think just really couldn't be done. So I look at that as being a neat opportunity where SWCA can come alongside of RiverSHARED, Stantec can come alongside of RiverSHARED, Headway Environmental can come alongside of RiverSHARED. Whatever firms are out there can come alongside of RiverSHARED to basically get encouragement and help them do things that don't really fit into the standard consulting firm the same way. So hopefully we can do that, create a community that's about lifting up others in the industry with the purpose of sharing with others.
I think that's great. Very encouraging.
Cool. Well, if there's nothing else, we'll end a little bit early today.
Yeah.
We did have we had a technical speaker on this week that Sue Nazagota from Gonzalo University was supposed to be talking today, but she had a last minute change. So we'll be recording her tomorrow and then she'll be on in 2 weeks.
Okay.
She'll be talking about TMDLs, total maximum daily loads, and reductions associated with the installation of beaver dam analogs.
Okay.
She has some grants to do that. That will be 2 weeks from today. Next week we have Jordan Worth, who is a director of human resources at a thrift store in Philadelphia that works with programs to re-employ folks that are coming out of prison. And so she's going to talk a little bit about kind of some of the issues that they deal with in kind of employment and what's some hope they have that comes out of this. It's a fairly difficult task to be the human resource person dealing with a whole bunch of folks that have already made decisions to do bad things in the past and trying to give them another chance. But hopefully that gives us some inspiration and thought towards what how RiverSHARED could be teaming with other programs in the future. My goal for RiverSHARED, that hopefully it sounds like Gina's goals close to the same, is that we really kind of don't ever really do anything by ourselves. We're always teaming with another organization, another company, and we're helping other people do good work, helping encourage people to share in the industry where sometimes it just kind of seems scary.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. Well, Dave, you mind closing us in a word of prayer?
I would love to, Josh. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Dear God, thank you so much for this time this morning. Thanks for our opportunities. We have our opportunities in Colorado and Maryland and Texas and Massachusetts, West Virginia and Florida. And we are amazed that you allow us to tag along with you. We're amazed that you allow us to care for the earth. We're amazed that we see things differently and we have questions. Help us not to try to wish away the questions, but be able to lean in and ask questions, even when they're hard questions. Help us to share with others and help us to care for others. Help us to live in ever more amazement of what you have done and what you could do. Amen.
Amen. Gina, it was a pleasure meeting you. Nice talking to you as well.
Before y'all
Nice
get
talking
on
to you
the
too,
agenda,
Josh. Hi,
What's
Matt.
up, man?
it is the day before David Bottlesbach's birthday. So
Oh, come on.
make sure
Birthday, Dave.
and acknowledge that tomorrow is David Bottlesbach's birthday. What birthday would it be, Dave Bottlesbach?
It's gonna be the
29.
birthday where I think I'm gonna get another prescription higher of reading glasses, Matt.
That's great.
It should be
Not getting older,
47
just
though.
getting wiser.
It should be 47. So
47. All right, very good. Just getting wiser, man. Let's thanks for mediating and everything, Josh. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
think that's Mr. Lai in the background there.
It is. Yeah.
Hey,
Congratulations on
Great.
asking your now fiance to marry you.
Right.
Wow, wise choice, sir. I was happy to get that news. So
Yeah.
congratulations again.
Congrats, Ken. I saw the photo. Great spot too. Did you drop the knee in the snow?
Yep, in the snow on a frozen lake up in Rocky Mountain National Park.
Yep.
That's a risky man right there. Good for you.
Yeah, we started a little bit last night. It was good. But yeah,
Good,
very
good.
excited for him. All right, guys. You have a great week, great Monday. Take care.
Thank
See you
you.
guys.
Okay. Bye, guys.